Okay, so to start, I would just cut down your cereal box or whatever thin cardboard you're using into kind of some pieces. You want to make sure that you end up with a nice, smooth, rectangular piece. I'm going to explain how to cut that into the background for your plate. Save the little scraps, you'll use them as the relief part. And so I would just kind of like trim it down and organize it like this. Okay, and then for your plate, I'm gonna suggest doing like a 4x6 or 5x7 size plate. If you want to go bigger, that's totally fine too. But what I'd like you to do is just measure out and make sure that your plate is like minimally 4x6 inches, and then cut the plate to be that size, or approximately that size. So I measured mine and cut it out with an X-Acto knife, but you could certainly do the same thing with a scissor. You just want to have a nice, like, standard size rectangle. Okay, so for making your plate, what you want to have is your like 4x6, 5x7-ish background for your plate that you cut out. And then you want to have some other cardboard available to cut down into shapes that you decide you want to make kind of throughout the process. And then I also like to have some different like pre-cut shapes. And so the idea is that if you need to, you can sketch shapes out before you cut them. You can cut them with a scissors, or you can cut them over a self-healing mat with an X-Acto knife if you have that available. If you don't, just use the scissors, it will be fine. And then you're going to take your glue and you're going to use this to glue pieces onto here. So when you glue the pieces onto the plate, you can come up with a design ahead of time if you'd like. You can make it up as you go. You can do something that's more objective, like a landscape, or you can do something that's more just non-objective, like just shapes kind of, mosaicked outward is fine too. It's really up to you. I'm just going to kind of make up something non-objective for this right now and just kind of play around with shapes. What you don't want to do is layer a whole bunch of pieces on top of each other. Everything needs to be kind of a similar depth, and so I would just keep it as like one layered piece of cardboard glued onto each area. I wouldn't like pile up like 3 pieces of cardboard glued over the same spot. That could just cause some issues. Okay, so I actually decided to plan out the word art on my plate, and so I'm doing it with these very geometric shapes of cardboard that I have, some pre-cut and then some that I'm trimming and cutting as I go to kind of fit together in this kind of puzzly way. If you are doing something that is going to be like this, where it is objective, it is trying to be something, it's trying to read specifically as something, you need to plan out the space before you start gluing. Once you have everything planned out where it will go, then you can glue your pieces down. If you're doing something kind of more spontaneous, where you're just going to have shapes kind of mosaicked outward from one spot, that's fine. You can glue as you go. You want to make sure that when you're gluing, you're using enough glue that it's going to keep the shapes adhered to your plate. If there's not enough glue, then they could pop off in the process of the rubbing. And then after this step, it's really just waiting for everything to dry before we do the rubbing for the final piece.